Chapter 1, Ashford Bay. Part 8. What the Tide Returns. The crowd at the net loft had the posture of men who pretend not to be curious. Boots on planks. Caps in fists. Gulls arranged themselves on the rafters like punctuation marks waiting for a sentence to earn them. The crate lay in the wash with the sulky look of a drunk who'd lost his shore leave. Two men with boat hooks had coaxed it onto the slant of the ramp, where water could still argue with it. Red paint streaked the lashings like somebody had tried to teach the rope a lesson. The lead seal had been cut, then tongued back together by a hand that respected appearances more than truth. You could still see the star inside the ring pressed into a smear of tacky plank, one clean mark and one that shook. "Step back," Sheriff Harvey said, not shouting. He didn't have to. Authority traveled different over wood. Henry Caldwell stood too close to the water for a man who paid others to get wet. He kept his suit dry by force of personality. "Sheriff, if this is festival cargo." "If it is," Harvey said, "it won't mind my seeing it." He nodded to the men at the hooks. "Bring it up to the dry. Slow." Eli Morse hovered with a ledger he didn't trust. The bandage on his hand had learned the weather. Richard Caldwell leaned a shoulder against a piling and kept failing to look bored. Claire Whitmore arrived without making a ripple and found a place beside me that wasn't an accident. "You always chase boxes," she said quietly. "Only when they come looking for me." She watched the men work with a librarian's patience. "If it's oil lamps, the town will applaud. If it's anything else, we will have a meeting tomorrow about nothing at all." Mick stood a few feet off with a towel over his shoulder and the air of a man prepared to loan his towel to the Atlantic for a reasonable fee. Jimmy vibrated near his knee, anchored only by awe. The crate took the slope like a saint used to being hauled from one reliquary to another. Iron straps had done their duty and then given up. A corner had sprung. Harvey put a hand to the board and met the wood the way polite men meet, briefly and with intent. "Mr. Caldwell," he said. "You prefer to witness?" "I prefer to adjourn," Henry said. "But if this spares us a rumor, proceed." Harvey slipped the pry bar into the seam and gave it the kind of encouragement furniture understands. The lid sighed and showed us a layer of oilcloth parcels tied with twine, and atop them, to satisfy cynics, 6 tins of lantern fuel nested like good behavior. "Festival supplies," Eli said too quickly. "Top layer," Harvey said. He lifted a tin, weighed it, set it aside. The oilcloth under it had bled at the corners where salt and friction disagree. He cut a string. The cloth fell away and revealed a book. Not a new one. Vellum the color of old bone, black letter spine, a binding that had lived larger lives. A damp-stained corner showed pages that had been pressed and would never forget it. "Festival reading?" I said to nobody in particular. Claire made a sound that wasn't a word. "17th-century, she breathed. "Dutch, by the hand." Her eyes had gone the far distance librarians keep for miracles and crimes. She bent closer without forgetting where her feet were. A small paper sleeve clung to the inside cover like a forgotten favor, a catalog pocket. "Local stock." The right tooth of the card notch had the same bite as the drawers at the library. She looked at me, then away, then back to the book as if staring at anything else might break a rule. Harvey glanced at her, then at the rest of the parcel. He opened another. Auction stamps. Margins annotated in a tidy foreign hand that used a long S where a regular S might do. Under the second layer of books, his knife found wood again and then stopped with a small thunk. False bottom. He pried and lifted a shallow panel. Below, a tin of lead seals, a length of cut cord, and a die that would set a star inside a ring into anything that would take an impression. "Church lanterns," I said. "Private lanterns," Harvey said. Henry Caldwell's face didn't change because it had practiced. "Items lost at sea are, by maritime custom, the property of whoever writes the law loudest," Richard said from his piling. He had been following the knife with his teeth. "We don't need books. We need nets." Father Thomas stepped forward, hands folded away from the temptation to point. "Whoever these belong to," he said, "they are not fish." Harvey looked to Eli. "Mr. Morse. How many crates were due?" Eli's mouth opened and made silence. Then, 17. The number landed between us like a coin heads down. "And how many arrived?" Harvey said. Eli's good hand rolled the pencil without joy. "None. Not officially. Unofficially. Some receipts for oil were anticipated," he said, looking 4 inches to the left of his conscience. "For the festival." "Whose festival?" Richard said, but no one had asked him. Claire's fingers brushed the catalogue pocket. There was paper in it. She coaxed it free the way a woman coaxes truth from a man who wants to keep the part that hurts. The card had been cut from our drawers, a familiar cream, the familiar micro-grooves where the knife had thought better of a straight line. On it, a single mark in pencil. An eye with the pupil struck through. No author, no call number. Just the town's new favorite secret. She put it in my hand without looking at me, as if I were a shelf temporarily convenient. "Who signed for these?" Harvey asked Eli. Eli swallowed. The bandage looked tighter. "No one," he said. "Because they never arrived," Harvey finished. "And yet." He tapped the die in the bottom with the back of the blade and the little tool made the kind of sound metal makes when it knows it's been recognized. A woman spoke from the edge of the group and turned the air a degree colder. "They carry my husband's mark," she said. "Dutch vowels, clean and flat, syllables like precise stitches. The books do. Not the seal." The crowd made room the way crowds do for authority and for beauty, sometimes by the same impulse. She was tall in a dark coat cut like a decision. Hair black as wet slate. Eyes that measured and discounted quickly. She stepped onto the ramp without asking anyone's permission to be above them and looked down at the vellum and the false bottom and the town. "I am Anna van der Broek," she said. "Widow. My husband taught at Leiden until men with smaller books told him not to. I have papers." She produced a leather folio that had seen miles and lawyers. The top document wore custom stamps and tired signatures. A donation to a college in New England. Routed improperly. Stolen, perhaps. Found, now, by the sea. Henry inclined his head the centimeter courtesy permits. "Madam," he said. "I am Henry Caldwell. Our committee has ledger troubles, Mr. Caldwell," she said without turning. "So I am told." Harvey took the papers, read just far enough to know they were real and complicated, and then folded them with a respect he rarely showed to men. "Why Ashford Bay?" he asked. "Because your harbor is where small belongings can pretend to be fish," she said. "And because your lighthouse draws lines. Even thieves like lines." Claire's pencil made a note in her head she would loan to paper later. She avoided the widow's eyes like a woman avoids a mirror that might tell the truth too soon. "Mrs. van der Broek," Harvey said. "Your husband's books and somebody's hardware came to my wharf in a married state. I'll unwed them in my office. They are safer with light," she said, glancing toward the point. "You have that wrong," Richard said. "Light shows things. That's different." "Different and the same," she said, not wasting a full look on him. Harvey closed the crate enough to make it portable and signaled 2 men. "We'll take this up," he said. "Mr. Morse, you'll accompany me. Mr. Caldwell, you and your committee can reconvene wherever men like to polish motives. Father, keep your saints ready." "Always," Father Thomas said, with the weariness of practice. The crowd nodded. The men who lifted the crate had shoulders built for faith. Henry smoothed his sleeve until it forgave him for standing near wet boards. Richard found a cigarette he shouldn't have. Claire stepped back without stepping away, and the widow watched the operation like a general trusting privates not to drop her battalion. Mick leaned in close enough to make his words private. "You owe me for ruining me towel by not using it," he said. "Meet me at closing and I'll tell you which men stopped buying oil 2 months ago and started buying rope." "I keep a ledger too," I said. "Sure," he said. "But mine comes with stew." Jimmy tugged my sleeve with the respectful desperation of a boy who knows he will not be included and wants a souvenir instead. "You think the lady's on our side?" he asked. "Which side is ours?" I said. "The one that doesn't drown," he said, and let go. We climbed the ramp. The crate creaked like a tooth reconsidering its bite. On the far side of the loft, at knee height where a man opening a door wouldn't notice, a new chalk mark had been placed. The crossed-out eye again, this time with 3 short hatch lines under it, like a man tallying something he meant to finish. Claire saw it when I did. "How many have to be counted before the town believes in numbers?" she said. 17, I said. The word didn't feel like a number anymore. It felt like a line a man had drawn across a night and dared the sea to step over. Mrs. van der Broek walked beside me for 3 paces, then made a friend of silence. Up close, the cold of her beauty wasn't cruelty, it was armor. "You are Mr. Reed," she said finally, without question. "I am." "You keep a notebook," she said. "That is useful if you write what you see and not what men tell you they saw." "I write the difference," I said. "Good," she said. "Because if the difference drowns here, these books will drown with it." She didn't look at me when she said it, she looked at the lighthouse as if measuring a distance a ship might lie about and survive. The crate went ahead to the station with the slow dignity of a procession. The town peeled off in 1s and 2s, claiming supper as an alibi. The sky took on the color of wet pewter. Harvey paused at the top of the ramp and threw me a look with a hinge in it. "Don't wander," he said. "I'm not finished with you." "I never finish," I said. He grunted like a man who had expected as much. When the noise thinned, Claire and I were left with the smell of tar and the sound of water arranging itself. She touched the catalog pocket on the book again like she wasn't sure she'd been believed by her own eyes. "Somebody harvested cards from my drawers," she said. "They turned the town's memory into a code." "Codes break," I said. "Not always," she said. "Sometimes they just get replaced by other codes." "Tonight?" I asked. "The library opens at 9, she said. "My desk opens earlier." She looked toward the church. "Father Thomas will return that shelf to order whether or not order returns the favor." "And you?" "I will return what can't be returned," she said, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear with a motion that had judged men before and found them wanting. "Don't stand under the lamp tonight if you can help it. Truth breaks skin." She left me there, with the tide tapping on the hulls like a clerk bored with his own entries and the first drops of a mean, thin rain arriving like a rumor that intended to stick.